talk about the outlook of the Thai economy. Earlier this year, we did see some concerns coming from the Bank of Thailand saying that the outlook may be slower growth because of various factors. What's your perspective on this?
I think 2012 was a very strong year. Basically it reflected a very strong recovery from the floods in late 2011. But it's not likely that Thailand can repeat or sustain growth at close to 6%. So for 2013, we're expecting right now growth of 5%. But I will say it seems to me, standing where I am now, it seems to me like the risks are to the downside. Because if we look at it, I mean, we had I think softer than expected first quarter. And it looks to me now that there was no significant pickup in the second quarter, contrary to what we had initially expected.
Yeah, here's an issue that is in the minds of a lot of Thais actually, and now I think is a lot of concern as well showing from foreign investors, and that is the controversial rice pledge scheme. 260 billion baht that could have been lost from it. What's your perspective on the issue?
Right. So this brings me back to the point of the sort of government measures that were put in place earlier to bring the economy out of the floods and to put it on a recovery path, right? But if we look back at these measures, including the RISE program, I think we have to question if this is a sustainable model. Do we rely on these programs to keep growth up, or do we go for measures that are much longer lasting, have a longer term economic impact? Because buying rice and buying cars can only last for so long, and once those measures are gone, we are back to fundamentals. Right, and the fundamentals tell us that what Thailand needs is, well, we are now discussing the infrastructure, 2 trillion baht infrastructure
exactly
package.
What I was going to ask you. 2.2 trillion baht, infrastructure funds. That's still a question as to that's going to be given a green light. Already, we've seen the postponement of the 350 billion baht waterworks project. How much of that will have an impact on the perspective of Thailand's economy?
Yeah, I mean, look, basically three main things drive growth in the long term. Capital, labor, and what we call total factor productivity growth, which is essentially technological innovation, any other thing that increases productivity, right? And so when we talk about this infrastructure package, it's number one, it's massive, over 2 trillion baht, yes, over 7 years, but even then, you're still talking about more than 2% of GDP annually if you divide that out. So potentially, that has a big stimulus effect in the near term as construction gets rolled out, employment gets created, and so on and so forth. But in the long term, because capital is still such a large driver of Thai growth, when you invest in roads and ports and railroads and so on and so forth, you are lifting the capital stock of the economy and then increasing the productive capacity that your economy can perform at, right? So this if it passes, it would be productive spending.
Massive debt though, that yes, it's constructive, but by the time we get there, do we have strong fundamentals enough to survive?
Yeah, I mean, the fiscal side of things definitely is a concern for us. But if you are investing in the future, and investing for every dollar that you put in, you're going to get back $1.10 in 5 years, or $1.20 in 10 years or 20 years, then it's money well spent. The question is, how are you spending this borrowing, you know? And I think, yes, the infrastructure package is what I term good spending. Things like car programs, rice subsidies, I think they are somewhat more questionable in terms of the longer term effectiveness on you know, the long-term economic growth prospects for Thailand.
Okay, so briefly, what's your outlook for the Thai economy?
If we talk, you know, the next 1 to 2 years, Thailand will be, to a degree, pushed around by the bigger external factors. We know that China continues to be a headwind still. You know, the country is trying to implement very tough structural reforms, and because of that, China is going to be slower than what we are used to. The US and Europe recovery is you know, has been very, very moderate. So you put that together, you have an export picture this year that maybe might pick up a little bit only towards the tail end of the year. And then meanwhile, you have these domestic factors where the households and firms are still adjusting to the withdrawal of government measures. So this year, we have slower growth. Next year, hopefully, we ride on the coattails of the global economic recovery, and we are able to see growth pick up again.